allowed PJ and Javon to earn those 2 starting safety spots?
Well, they've been working. You know, when I talk about working, they're working in the off season as well. So now they were able to come to camp and they were able to solidify their position. With that being said, you know, we had some guys behind them that have been biting at them as well. You know, so it's not over yet. But the one thing about it is that they've been doing a great job in fall camp, and they're continuing to do a great job right now. Just you can see their maturity in their play and their communication is getting better each and every day.
PJ's an interesting guy to talk to. What kind of energy does he bring to your meetings?
Oh, I love him. I love him. You know, he keeps me going every day. If I'm down one day, he's going to spark you up. You know, if you're walking around, he's going to tell you to get running. You know, so he's a good motivation for the players as well as the coaches. He'll keep you on your toes. All right.
How is your job different going from 2 veterans like Brandon and Eric to guys who are relatively new like Javon and PJ?
Makes it fun. You know, because now you got to, you know, coach your tail off again. You know, get the next crew ready. All right. So it's always the next man up. And those 2 guys right now are the next, all right? You know, so it's been fun, you know, seeing their maturation throughout fall camp as well as the off season, like I said before. But they're doing a really good job right now.
One thing you guys emphasize a lot as coaches, especially in the secondary, is coaching the eyes and making sure you're looking in the right spots at the right times. Brandon and Eric had years to develop that. Where is the development of that for guys like PJ, Javon, and even Donovan and other guys that you have there?
Absolutely right. You know, we talk about see a little, see a lot. All right, so if their eyes in the right place, they're going to put themselves in a position to make more plays. You know, with that being said, that's a daily thing that we're talking about because, you know, especially when you're younger players, haven't got a lot of repetition during a game, you know, sometimes your eyes do kind of falter and go elsewhere. But they've been doing a really good job, you know, been on them in one-on-ones on that as well as throughout the team periods, and I think that they've been doing pretty good there.
How much potential do you see in MJ, and what can he do to take the next step as a cornerback this year?
He's a talented player, athletic player, explosive player, playmaker. You know, those are who he is. You know, and if he continues to work, and when he continues to work, you know, he'll get better and better as the season progresses. You know, but I think we got a lot of good corners in which that have the ability to do the same. You know, so they're an explosive bunch. You know, all 3 of the guys, and I'm talking AJ, I'm talking MJ, all right, and I'm talking Marquez Williams. You know, again, I've been blessed to have guys that have had a lot of reps throughout games. All right, and like you talked about earlier, with them having a lot more game reps, you know, they know what to look for. All right, so they've seen a lot more things. You know, throughout the game, which that when they're seeing it in practice, they know how crisp, you know, you have to be during practice to be able to perform correctly during the game. So that's the difference with those, you know, corner as well as the safeties. But again, I like where all 3 of those guys are. But again, I think MJ is going to do great.
I think it's 52 starts between the 3 corners total there. What are they able to help the safeties kind of fit in and kind of communicate, or is that just going to be on the safeties to just be those communicators and keep everyone in line?
Well, I tell you what, you know, with them having so many game reps, they know exactly what checks should be made. All right, you know, so and we're always as a unit. All right, so we live and die together. You know, and the one thing about it is that, you know, with them having so many reps, they got the ability to make checks. You know, if someone does need a little bit of help, they'll step in and get it done really quickly. So I feel very confident that those guys on the outside to be able to help out on the inside. But again, I think together as a whole, those guys are growing together at a great pace.
You've rotated corners a lot over the years, but safeties, you've tended to have just 2 guys, not a lot of rotation. Could that change this year? Do you see more rotations in, you know, these 4 guys?
We've got a talented bunch of guys, you know, and I think that we'll see the guys that are ready to play. All right, you know, and when they get on that field, I think there'll be even other guys outside of Javon as well as PJ that'll make plays. So I feel confident in all of the guys that we have within that safety position as well as the corner position.
What does Donovan provide that might be more unique than what PJ or Javon can do?
He's a smart player, you know. And Donovan's a guy which that would try to hit you, all right, you know, so. And what we always try to get him to do is, again, like you said, keep your eyes in the right place, you know, and then when you got the opportunity to make big plays, make them. All right, you know, so, you know, but that's what he brings to the table. He's a big body guy that can go ahead and hit you.
What's Wofford going to show you?
Wofford, they're gonna probably mix it on up, you know. Obviously they've got a couple of new pieces within their quarterback. Obviously, Coach Watson was here back in 2017 and 18, so it'd be very interesting to see what he wants to come out and try to do. But we'll be ready for it based on our preparation, because what we're trying to focus on is us really with it fundamentally a technique. And then, like we talked about throughout this interview process, is really, making the right checks. And if we do that good stuff, I think whatever they bring to the table, we should be ready.
Do they put the ball in the air a lot?
They do, and they don't, so it doesn't matter because it's the first game. The one thing that we got to know about is that, again, our fundamentals technique's got to be great for whatever they try to do, all right? They've got a new quarterback. He played back in the COVID 2021 spring, if I'm not mistaken. He's got limited film. So to answer that question, I don't know who he is all the way. But I hear they have a talented group of receivers that we're able to watch on film. We'll see. We'll see.
We've heard a lot about how explosive the passing offense for you guys is, as far as Phil and Bub and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Has that increased ability that we've heard about allowed you to kind of test your own secondary more as far as how to defend that, maybe more so than last year?
Oh yeah, iron sharpens iron. We love to be able to be challenged during practice. Like I said, we've got a bunch of good DBs, all right, and we've got a pretty good receiving core as well. So we challenge back and forth, and we're always competing with each other. We keep score every single day, every single rep we got. I won't say the score today, but we had a good outing in the one-on-ones today. I'll say it.
Okay. What's the overall score for the summer?
It's been going back and forth. I wish we had a lot more wins. But at the same time, we're talent on both sides of the ball, man. I'm pleased. I can't wait to see those guys, the receiving core, get at it too. This coming Saturday.
You and Tech want to do any side bets?
Well, we amp each other up all the time. We're always trying to win. He's competitive. I'm competitive. So that's a good mix.
Marquez seems like he's motivated by disrespect. Just based on social media comments he makes. As a coach, how do you manage that? Do you ever have to kind of keep it in check, or do you sort of like it that he's motivated by that?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's a fiery guy. He's played with a chip on his shoulder since he's been here. We've had conversations since he came through the doors here. With that being said, that's who he is. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder to make him play better, I think. I don't know about the tweets and all that good stuff because I don't really follow too much on social media, so I'm a hard guy to ask that question to. With that being said, he's playing well right now, so.
Anything else for Coach Collins? Coach, what can you say about Riley Gandy? He's back up to MJ Devichette right now on that 2D. What do you like out of his game so far?
Oh, he's coming along very well. He's growing every single day. I think one of his better practices was the other day as well, just from a technique and fundamental aspect of it. I obviously want him to keep on working on his ball skills, but he's a very twitchy guy, and he challenges receivers, so the sky's the limit for him. He's going to be a very, very good player here.
What's the outlook on how you guys are going to deploy Delta this year?
As far as
just how you guys are going to use it and who's fitting in as far as the rotation and where you're putting them.
Well, we're blessed to have some good DBs out there right now, and the first guy that come out there in our nickel situation and or Delta situation, the star position would be AJ Woods, and he's an explosive athlete that's very, very smart. Got a lot of football intelligence, so that's how that would come out.
That kind of changes year to year, huh? Like based on who you have, like the types of play. I think Patrician did it one year, right?
That's right.
Wasn't he playing? So
That's right.
You guys really do mix it up.
Got to, and you got to know all the pieces. I always talk about know your personnel, KYP, and then the better you know your personnel, the better you can put them in position to succeed. So that's going to change up yearly, as long as pieces are moving. And the main thing about it is trying to get better each year in, year out.
All good.
Cool.